joining us today. This conversation is going to last about 20 minutes and it's going to live on in infamy on my Instagram page, Facebook page, and on my blog and on my YouTube channel. Geez, I mean, it might be even in the holiday card at this point. I don't know. So if you miss any of this discussion, just check back in. You'll be able to catch up. So if you have a question that you want to drop either about divorce preparation, when it comes to your health, to your nutrition, to whatever it is, that self-care, drop it in the comments. I'm going to go through about, I don't know, 5 questions or so with Jenny. And towards the end, I'll just pick up any of your questions. But, you know, Jenny, the reason I really wanted to kind of have this conversation with you is because, you know, when you're navigating a huge life challenge like divorce, it can really put you in a position of kind of detriment to yourself, because we tend to put ourselves, especially as women, last on the list. And when you're navigating kind of the end of a marriage and an unknown future, it's really easy for us to shut down and sometimes, honestly, self-sabotage in a way, whether it is too much booze, food, not enough exercise, maybe too much online shopping. Those are quick, easy escapes. And what ends up happening is then you're adding another problem, right, that you don't need into your life at a time where you really need to kind of have the wherewithal to make smart choices, to feel kind of in your body and good and clear and energized. And so what you do, I think, really works hand in hand with women going through this transition. So I'm just going to kind of kick it off. I love you have coined the phrase lazy healthy. So many women going through a divorce, you know, like I said, turn to food for comfort. So what are your top 3 lazy healthy strategies to break the stress eating cycle without feeling deprived or kind of implementing some sort of strict diet, which I think we're all over the diet culture?
Yes, for sure. And I appreciate what you said too, of like, especially for women, right? It's like we're spinning a lot of plates and a lot of juggling and doing a lot of things, and overwhelm, burnout, all of this is really common, right? And then all of a sudden thinking about like, what am I going to eat? How am I going to move my body? Like, it just feels like the last thing that you want to do when you're just trying to survive. Life change, divorce, something like that, and you really are in survival, trying to figure that out. So when you're doing that, I would say kind of one thing that I really want to highlight is don't fight yourself, right? If you are really in it and you are struggling, right, allow it, right? And don't try to take on too much at once. And if you're really in the depths of it and all that, and all you can think about is just eating carbs and, you know, mac and cheese at night, right? Okay, but I've got lazy healthy hacks, right, to help with that. It's like just tweaking a little bit, but giving yourself grace of, okay, this is what I want. I'm really just trying to nourish. I mean, there's a reason we want carbs. They like give us feel good, you know, dopamine and serotonin and things like that. So they're helpful, right? And don't want to wipe those out. But I love tweaking things. Like if you're normally like, I just want to sit on the couch and eat a bag of chips. Great. Grab some chips. Can you also put like a Greek yogurt dip with some high protein, right, ranch type of thing with some carrots and cucumbers along with the dip. So you're not like face diving into the chips, you're getting them, right? You're getting that need met.
Yeah.
And also making it more of a balanced snack. I also, you know, I love Greek yogurt for that, to make dips, but I mentioned mac and cheese before. You know, you can use bone broth, you can add vegetables, chicken, like do the box mac and cheese, curl up, but also boost it, right? Like balance it a little bit more. And I even like thinking about like, if you want pancakes, things like that, like adding cottage cheese. Again, you could do that. So like a vodka sauce or cottage cheese to pancakes, like ways to just allow yourself to have those things, but boost the nutrition a little bit so that it balances your blood sugar, makes you a little more balanced, satisfies you so your cravings aren't all over the place. And just, it helps you feel nourished in both ways, because we do nourish emotionally, and that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you are owning it, right? Like you had posted, I think it was earlier this week, a mac and cheese recipe on your reels, which I thought was brilliant. Like, I love that you come from a place of, yeah, by the way, we're normal people. This is the normal stuff we have in the kitchen, or I'm eating leftovers from the kids, but you're always building on that to make sure that you're hitting all of these protein goals, these fiber goals, so that you get, it's like that old adage, you just hide the dessert, like in all the nutritional stuff, which is true, so that you're checking all the boxes, you're really taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
When I'm working with clients or just posting on the blog about divorce and self-care, as you mentioned, it's like going through, as a woman, especially in midlife, going through the transition of a marriage to a single person, and whatever other physiological transitions you're actually going through, it can be a tsunami. So these like little actionable steps that you're always kind of offering on social media, I think are fantastic and so easy to follow. Many, as we said, like, divorce is not just emotionally challenging, but physically challenging. So how can women really boost their energy levels when they're feeling overwhelmed, sleep deprived, and struggling to maintain like a consistent self-care routine, but they're juggling a job, maybe in or out of the house, they're juggling kids, they're juggling dealing with attorneys, as well as all of life's other pressures?
Yeah, and also wanted to say that I love that you said, right, like we're all trying to find kind of little tricks and little hacks, because you can't just overhaul your life overnight. In lots of ways. So you said this too with being sleep deprived, and the irony of that is it's my number one. Right? Like, she's the queen of all the things.
Yeah.
And if you're not sleeping well, I don't want to work with anything else, right? Like, we've got to get that underway. And with midlife and all of this, there's a lot of stuff that's coming up hormonally and all this that's making us maybe wake up in the middle of the night or whatever. And it's hard to get good quality sleep, but doing all the things to help with that, because it sets the tone for your whole day. And studies on how it affects your blood sugar, right? If you eat a cake, right? Like, you eat a cake at 4:00 on a day that you've slept well versus you eat a cake at 4:00 on a day that you haven't. It's a totally different response, right? It's putting you in more of a fight or flight response, which is the opposite of what we want when we're going through this. We're already in this life, right? Transition phase. So sleep, that's getting your room cold, dark, eye mask, even weighted eye mask can be really system and help you feel a little bit calmer, to get rested. If you're waking up in the middle of the night, maybe putting in a little meditation or earbuds, something to just get yourself sleeping. I also encourage people, don't focus on like working out, just walk, right? Getting out in nature wherever you are, even if it's freezing cold or whatever, just a little bit. Again, the science is really clear that 10 minutes can change your mood, right? And you can really shift how your brain is feeling and how more awake you're feeling. If you do have a bad night's sleep, like we just talked about, it just didn't work out for you, if you can get some sun and just a stroll for 10 minutes, it will help you boost and get the energy that you need. If it's in the middle of the day and you're like, all I need is an extra coffee, try a walk and see how that goes for a while. It really makes a huge difference. And a big thing that, I am preaching all the time and trying to preach to myself, is slowing down in all the ways, right? It is so hard, but we are, like I said, spinning, juggling. We're doing so much and creating, like, there's a culture of multitasking. And I think we need to be doing less. More that you can slow down and be mindful in just the little things that you're doing in life, right? Don't do so many things at once. If you're going to go make your coffee, right? Like, just be there, making your coffee, slowing down. It really does slow your nervous system down to do things in a slow pace, which then helps you feel a little bit more grounded, a little less reactive, right? And when things are getting a little crazy. And so I think it's a bigger umbrella picture of yes, we need to slow down when we eat, and that's better for digestion and all that, but just to slow down in general makes a huge difference, and it is such an easier said than done.
But you know, everything that you're talking about, we're talking about sleep, we're talking about getting outside, we're talking about exercise, we're talking about also to add on to that, things like journaling, you know, because going back to the beginning of what you said in that answer, we're going through a high stress time. I've been listening to the podcast Reinvent Yourself with Dr. Tara. She is a scientist, like a neurological scientist, and she was a psychiatrist. And I was listening to a 2-part episode all about how stress affects you physically and exactly all the points that you're hitting. And what happens to the body is, you know, when we're not getting that sleep, when we're completely in this survival mode at all times, the cortisol production in our brains also gets like jacked through the roof.
Yeah.
And that means the body is continuing to sustain this high stress survival mode. And the only way to kind of slow that stagecoach that's running amok, which affects every aspect of your life, your mental health, your physical health, kind of the choices you make financially and otherwise, you being able to show up not just for yourself, but all the other people in your life, is all linked to doing these things.
Yeah.
Journaling, get it out of your head, put it on the paper, get some sunshine, as you
Yeah.
said, making sure that you are actually slowing down and being present. I think you're right. We're not physiologically meant to be operating at full capacity all the time.
No.
It will break you
Um,
down at a cellular level. I love all of your
yes.
answers.
I was at Apple yesterday and having some glitches with my display, and I've had it my computer for 2 years. And he said, "How often have you turned it off?" And I was like, and he was like,
Is there a button for that?
yeah, I was like, "Oh, you turn it off at the end of the day, you know?" And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You basically just had your computer," because he knew I was a nutritionist. He's like, "You basically had your computer awake for 2 years. Obviously, it's going to start breaking down," which is what's happening to us, right? We're just in full, like, go, go, go all the time. And that podcast is great. I also love Gabby Bernstein has a book. I did it so many years ago, maybe even while I was going through divorce, called May Cause Miracles. And the reason I love it is because it's a 40-day thing where you, like, it's a journal prompt and like actionable steps. I love that. Like a way to really kind of center and reset. Something like that is great too. Yeah.
That's a great tip. I'm going to definitely check that out. I love those kind of programs that you can do over a specific period of time. I know you actually offer something like that, which I'm going to get to towards the end, that I'm so excited because I'm going to be doing it. But, you know, when we're talking about women going through midlife, and when we're talking about what we need, and when you're going through times of stress, it's like our requirements to make this vessel and this vessel actually run properly change dramatically. And so I know I'm always seeing all over social media, you need more of this, you need more of this, you need more of this. But I just wanted to kind of dive in and ask you, what specific nutrients or dietary adjustments can women going through a divorce support, like their physical health that can, and mental health, and reduce inflation. Yes, can you reduce inflation?
Right. Yeah. Can we work on that?
Inflammation, or obviously I'm writing things down for notes, and builds like kind of everything that we need, muscle, brain power during this time. Because when you're in midlife, which by the way, midlife is starting at 35.
Yeah. Right.
You know, we're talking about 35 until about 60.
Yeah.
So what nutritional supplements can we be adding in to really optimize our health?
Yeah, and I love that. Also, wellness noise, right? Like, kind of goes back to the slow down piece. Like, slow down, listen to your internal compass, start with the basics of like sleep, sunshine, walking, right? Then start adding in these things that, like vitamin D, we're all
Yeah.
deficient. That also goes along with the sunlight, but like you can get that from egg yolks and fatty fish and things like that. But we're usually deficient, and it's a good one to have because it's good for immune system, also good for your nervous system, also good for bone health for this midlife time period, right? Also, magnesium is a big one because, again, along with what we're talking about, it helps calm the nervous system. It helps you get ready for sleep, helps you sleep better. There's different variations of magnesium. There's like 3 and 8, which is great for brain health, which is great too. But glycinate is usually what I'm recommending to people because that's the one that's calming and Usually encourage that maybe before bed or something like that, right? B vitamins are also good for, you know, just overall mental health. And if you're someone who doesn't eat a lot of meat or doesn't eat a lot of fish, you really want to make sure that your B vitamins are, you know, top priority, because it makes a big difference. And sometimes people will see that. They start upping their vitamin D, right, vitamin B, and their magnesium, and you feel a little bit more centered and a little more grounded. And then that's kind of like my basic ones. Yeah. And then I love a good probiotic. I like seed. That's a great one. Omega-3s, again, we all need that, but just eat more salmon and, you know, things like that.
That's fantastic. Do you happen to have, like, I know that this is your area of expertise. If people go to the link on your profile, do you have a list of these as well?
Yeah. If you go, yes, my Instagram and LinkedIn profile, you know, it has that linked bio page, and there'll be an Amazon link, and it's got some of my favorite brands like Pure Encapsulations, Thorne, all that. Kind of, the top things. Yeah.
Okay, good. That makes it a lot easier.
Yes.
And then I transcribe all of what you just said, but thank you. That's my lazy healthy hack.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to also kind of like talk about this subject of when you're a woman midlife going through a divorce. And as I said at the top, it's like really easy to kind of shut down to also too much of a good thing is a bad thing, overindulge, because your life is kind of up in the air and you feel uncertain. And so one of those things can be either you can start overindulging maybe in food, or maybe you're under eating. You know, everybody reacts differently, but what are some mindful techniques that can help women reconnect with their body's hunger and fullness cues, especially when they're going through major stress and uncertainty?
Yeah. Well, one kind of goes back to what we talked about, right? If you can slow down eating, right, it really helps you not overindulge, right? Really enjoying that. I call it like less pantry drive-bys, right? Like less of the like go by and I'm going to take a bite and I'm going to pretend that didn't happen or whatever, right? Like go do it and eat it and sit down and enjoy it. Like really be mindful of it. If you're going to go get an ice cream cone because you're just like, oh my God, it was a terrible day, you know, with the attorney or whatever it is, and you're like, I just need to go get ice cream, go get the scoop, go walk while you eat it and savor it, and don't have shame or guilt feelings around it, right? Just like you said, owning it, being with it, really overall has you eating less of those kinds of things overall, right? We've come from such a diet culture, BS. We've been on some sort of restriction place at all different points in life, whether it was Atkins when we were, you know, in our 20s or whatever, right? Like ignore any of this trying to restrict unless you have some sort of health issue with things, and just like take that in and make it a point to make time for those things. A lot of times I say to people, like, if there's something that you're really wanting, also creating a pause of, you know, like maybe you're just thinking, oh my gosh, yes, I do want to go grab, you know, that ice cream from Jenny's. Okay, great, right? Like maybe give it a beat. If it's at home, give it 90 seconds, see how you can feel in your body, right? Like, could I give this 90 seconds and maybe not let this craving kind of take over? Or, yeah, I am going to go get ice cream, but I'm going to do it tomorrow, right? Like set a date for yourself, give yourself time to like put it in the future so that it's not, we're all in kind of an instant gratification place. Just create a pause for yourself to do that. And then a little bit to what I said before too, if it's in the moment and you're doing that, try to create balance around it. Because again, it has you eating less potato chips when you're building things around that. And then I'll also say I call it a power plate. It's what I talk to with my members and clients, things like that, of if you're building your meals that way, it gives you better blood sugar response, which means less of a rise and a crash. And the crash is when you are reaching for more energy, fuel, right? And our body's fastest way to get that is like a refined carbohydrate or, you know, something like that. So if you can keep it more stable, then your cravings are really more minimal. And I know everyone has a different stress response, and sometimes it's overeating and sometimes it's not eating, right? Both of those things happen. And so you just want to try to nourish the best way that you can to keep yourself balanced if you're on either side of that, right? And the more that you can have a balanced power plate meal, then you will have less cravings, less of a kind of erratic energy, and feel more grounded and have kind of like just a better foundation. And it makes things much easier. It really does. Just this few little, like, I'm going to build my plate this way. It keeps you more stable. Yeah.
So, two things that you really are known for are these lazy, healthy hacks, as well as the power plate. So for people, there are visual representations of exactly what she's talking about on her Instagram page, which is going to be linked in this conversation immediately after. So please go over there and check it out. And I love that you actually offered the fact that you too have gone through a divorce. I really try and invite people on to talk about their area of specialty who have gone through this process, because you understand firsthand as a woman who went through this, kind of what the experience is and where to be able to help others navigate it a lot more easily. So thank you for sharing that. What do you think is one of the big things that when you were going through your own divorce that you felt like, oh, I really needed it. I didn't realize this. I needed this. And I see now I was doing this. And what are those examples?
Yeah, I mean, doing too much,
Yeah.
trying to take on too much. And I really took a practice of, like building a meditation practice, which was not something I was really, I'm a doer and a busybody, and like that's a waste of time, right? Right? Like, why would I do that? That's a total waste of time for me. I need to get to my computer. I've got to get to do the thing, right? But again, the science is clear. If you can calm yourself, and I'll talk about different variations of meditation, but if we take 10 minutes, 5 minutes, right, to do a meditation, it makes you more productive, right? It makes your brain better, kind of going back to that, like less multitasking, right? If you can just, like, if you slow your brain down and all of that, then you're able to actually be more productive. And if it's not a full, like, I'm going to go sit and zen out and do a meditation, and that's not for you, because I get that too. I am more in a phase of, I'm trying to work on just overall mindfulness. And I feel like that practice kind of grew and took time. And I think that's also something. Everything takes longer than you think it's going to go, than it's going to be. Yeah. So just know it, accept it, and just know that soon you will look back and whatever it is will be in the past. It will be in the past, but don't obsess over, oh my gosh, things are never going to change. It's never going to, right? Like, it will. Just give it time. Things do happen. And to really work on this mindfulness piece of doing everything a little bit more intentional. And I think, there's benefits too of a divorce in some ways of kids' schedules, because you end alone time schedules, you get time to reset, right? And bring that energy back in, whether it's for yourself, for your kids, all that. Really try to think of, I had a huge gratitude practice and meditation practice that really got me through. And again, it was a practice that I was following like a book, and that really helped me. And I had to write things like, I'm grateful, and the depths of just the shittiest times, right? Where I was like, I need to write, no, I'm actually really grateful for this, and I'm really grateful for this. And it helped me, right? My partner and I, our ex-partner, have like such a good co-parenting relationship. And I really believe that that had a big piece of it.
I think that's wonderful. And I completely agree. And thank you so much for sharing that insight into your own personal experience. For anybody who's listening now and in the future, if you drop the word gratitude into the comments, you're going to get a free digital gratitude journal that I put together for people going through a divorce. The science is there. When you're practicing gratitude, it can be one small thing a day. You're actually building resilience and you're building strength. And those are things that you need when you're going through a big life change. What I love about what you were just saying, Jenny, it's true. It's something I'm always discussing, across social media platforms and with my clients is, divorce really becomes an opportunity to have some deep introspection and really put yourself on the path to lead the most authentic version of your life, right? You're coming out of a phase in your life where things haven't been working. There's a big change that's happening, upheaval, it's stress. but it's also possibility. It's also about being able to tap into, well, who am I now? What brings me joy? How am I feeling about myself? And if those things aren't operating on a level that really reflect my values and my intentions, now's my opportunity to course correct on a really big way.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about things like, meditation, when you're talking about things like gratitude, when we're talking about things like nutrition, but also embracing we're real people. I got mac and cheese in the cupboard,
Yeah.
I have a limited amount of time, or I've got a leftover English muffin from my kids' breakfast this morning, building on that, which is what I love about your coaching style, about the way that you teach nutrition and how you work with clients and how you work on social media. It's like, it's not, hey, we're going to start from scratch, go get a new pair of Lululemons and
Right.
we're going to around. Like, literally, like, go to your closet, what do you have, what's in the pantry? That's what we're working with. And the day is just going to go because we're normal people. So
Yes.
thank you for doing that. But
Uh-huh.
even going back to the meditation and all that stuff, these are things that have been around for thousands of years. They're very simple. And when we do what you said, which is to slow down, to be more present in the moment, which takes practice. How do you do that? Meditation is actually teaching your brain to focus on now. And just Jack Kornfield, who's this, he's this god in the in the meditation world, in the mindfulness world. He always says it's bringing the puppy back. It's like when your attention starts to go, and it's the same thing with your diet. It's the same thing with your exercise. These are ongoing things. Nobody does it
Yes.
perfect all the time. You know?
I love that you said that. Yes, because it is true. It is not, there is this false belief, again, because diet culture believes us that that's going to be the case, right? Like, do this diet for 30 days, get whatever result or outcome it is, and then you never have to think about it again. That is not the case. This is something we have to think about. We have to think about how we're going to nourish and take care of our bodies forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and Jerry Seinfeld has a great quote, and I'm going to butcher it, but he said, find the torture that you're most comfortable with and do that. Right? Like, you have to find what works for you in your individual life and style and, right, all these kinds of things, because that's what's going to make something sustainable. That's what's going to make you consistent.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if I had to get up and go to a gym, right, drive, go parking, put a thing in, wait for somebody to get off, some weights, right? Like, just a lot of different things going on. That's a lot of barriers for me to go work out.
Yeah.
That's me particular, right? I just have to go to my garage and I can go in my slippers. There's a lot less barriers with that, right?
Yeah.
So, like, learning yourself and figuring out, yes, what's baby steps, small steps along the way is going to create more sustainability and more consistency. And that's a huge message for me, right? Like, just start small over time, and you'll see a difference, right? Don't try to get ahead of yourself or you'll hit the wall, right? If you're somebody who goes 110 out of the gate, you're going to hit the wall eventually. I don't know when, but you're going to hit the wall. So it's better to just start so you can at least grow that.
I 100% agree with you. And I think it goes hand in hand with what we were talking about earlier, which is like, give yourself kindness and grace through this as well. It's like, there is no perfect. There is no what's right for you. It's going to be different than what's right for other people. And, it's a good segue to two things, which one is, financially, our lives change dramatically when we go through a divorce. It just is. It's a fact of life. You're going through either like a 2-income household that now is a 1-income, or perhaps you've been a stay-at-home parent. I'm here for my stay-at-home moms. I love to help you transition at this time, but I know your financial realities, and I know that we need to like figure out how to do things, in a much more budget conscious way, or zero budget way, which is like even what you're talking about. It's like getting out for a walk is doable. You don't have to go to a fancy gym to do this shit. Go to Facebook Marketplace. I got a pair of 2 like hand weights, 20-pound dumbbells that are like normally like $35 each. I got 2 for $20. You don't have $20, that's okay, because I've seen them for free too. So it's like there are opportunities for you. Lazy Healthy with Jenny Jiles is another one. I kind of want to segue into, what if people want to work with you, learn more about you, how can they do that? And what programs do you offer? I mean, I know Jumpstart, because I'm going to be doing that. So I'm excited to dive into that.
No, I would love that. I mean, first, obviously, I do one-on-one clients if you want specific one-on-one coaching, right? Which is one-on-one and private, all that. Then my Jumpstart, which yes, I love, I'm so excited. Alex is doing it with me. It starts in January. It's a group coaching program. We're going to go through all of the pillars. I call it my blueprint of health and kind of work through all of these things. You'll learn a lot. You'll grow. You'll get a community of women. I think it's awesome. And you can, again, that link is in my bio. If that feels like, ooh, maybe that's, maybe you don't want to do a group or don't want to do one-on-one, I have just my membership program, which is a membership community, and it's got tons of resources in there. It's my full recipe library. I do weekly Q&As. I have a private podcast, like all that is in there. And that's a really good place to start. Obviously, also, if you don't know me, right, you kind of want to get my vibe and all that, that's a good place to start in the membership. And then when we fall in love, then you can do one of the other programs together.
Oh, that's great. Again, Jenny Jiles, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah,
I'm linking your account in this conversation immediately after. And for all those who joined us, I really appreciate your time. And we're here, like whether it's divorce prep, emotional, financial, otherwise, health, Jenny, if you need something, please reach out, because when you DM, we are actually the people who are going to respond to you. Yeah,
yes.
we've been where you are, so we know how you feel. And Jenny, thank you so much. I hope we can have another conversation in the spring.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a great idea.
Okay, great. And this is, you are wrapping up my summer fall season of the In Conversation with that I do here on Instagram. I'll be back in January with relationship coach Kim Pollender, and we're going to discuss ways to have the talk with your spouse. Jenny, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you next year.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.